Welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm really excited to speak with you about thyroid conditions. Thyroid conditions actually affect 1 in 8 Americans, and a majority of the people that it impacts is actually women. So in this video, I'm going to talk more about hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. In a later video, I will cover hyperthyroidism and Graves' disease. Now, oftentimes when someone is diagnosed with hypothyroidism, in 90% of the cases, they are also diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's. For myself personally, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's back in 2014. And back then, I thought the only option I had was to go on medication. I did not realize that there were many things that I could be doing to support my body's overall health as well as my thyroid health. And because I lacked that education, I continued to do things that were actually harmful for my thyroid and kept me in a state of illness and dis-ease within my body for years and years until I discovered regenerative health and regenerative health practices. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what are some of the signs to be on the lookout for when it comes to hypothyroidism and what I did to actually overcome hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's within my body. In fact, I was on medication for 6 years. I have been completely medication free now for almost 5 years. And it was quite a journey to get there because there were a lot of things that were not common knowledge and to this day still aren't common knowledge. So some of the obvious signs that you're dealing with hypothyroidism is the biggest sign is if you start to put on weight for no reason whatsoever. If you are eating the way that you normally eat and all of a sudden your body starts to put on weight, that usually is a sign of hypothyroidism. There's also things like constipation, brain fog, depression, issues with your gut, especially leaky gut. These are all indications that your thyroid could be functioning sluggishly. Cold hands and feet is another good one, as well as hair loss. So these are the signs that your body is giving you if your thyroid gland is functioning slowly. So remember that your thyroid gland is responsible for every single metabolic process within your body. And when it starts to become slow functioning, all these different metabolic processes are going to slow down. Things like digestion, sex drive, weight is going to be hard to lose, or it's going to be hard to maintain. So these are the things that you want to be paying attention to. Remember that your body is always talking to you, and because it can't use words, it uses symptoms. And it's really important not to ignore the symptoms and the signs. Now, if you suspect that you have a thyroid issue, most of the time people will go to their doctor and they'll get a test. The standard test that most medical doctors do is they do a TSH test. This test, thyroid stimulating hormone test, it actually only checks to see how much hormone is being excreted from your pituitary gland to your thyroid gland. Your pituitary gland tells the other glands in the body what to do. And so it may be excreting a lot of TSH because your thyroid's not responding. In my professional opinion, it's best to get a full thyroid panel because when it comes to the functioning of the thyroid gland, it's not just, nothing in our body works in isolation. Everything works together in community. And so if your thyroid is not responding the way that it's supposed to respond, it could be related to your liver, it could be related to your gut, it could be the pituitary, it could be a number of things. And so you want to make sure that you get a full thyroid panel. Now, most of the time, when doctors do this TSH test and they get the results back, they will tend to put their patient on medication. In my case, I was on Synthroid and desiccated hormones for years and years and years. And one of the things that I realized very quickly was that even though I was taking medication, I wasn't feeling any better. Here's the thing to keep in mind about all medication, no matter what kind of medication you're on. It is all chemical, and chemical and heavy metal toxicity is one of the root causes of illness and dis-ease within the body. Yes, sometimes the body needs certain medications to help stabilize things. So in the case of hyperthyroidism, sometimes medication is needed to help stabilize the thyroid gland. Otherwise, you could be at risk of a heart attack, and that's very serious. But even if you choose to be on medication, it is really, really important to start to understand how to support optimal health within your body. This is education that I was missing. I was never told how to do this. And that's why, as I continued to take the medication and I kept doing the same habits that were driving inflammation and stress and imbalance within my body, I kept feeling worse and worse and worse. So it is really, really important to empower yourself and to actually learn how your body functions so that you can support it for optimal function. Now, in my case, at the time, I ate a very inflammatory diet. I did a lot of coffee. I drank alcohol every single weekend, and I did not realize that a lot of the things that I was putting into my body were creating a lot of stress within my system. They were messing up my digestion. They were creating so much inflammation that it was negatively impacting my thyroid gland. And I didn't realize that it is really, really important to have a low inflammatory diet, and that certain things like alcohol are actually very, very toxic to the thyroid. And I will do a separate video on alcohol because this is a much bigger conversation. The other thing that I was doing that wasn't very helpful was I wanted to lose weight. This is the thing with most women that are dealing with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. They're very, very fixated on trying to lose weight. And so in my quest to try to lose weight, I was doing a lot of high intensity interval training. I was doing a lot of HIIT workouts. And in my experience of doing HIIT, I did F45 for a stretch of time. I did Orange Theory Fitness. And I was doing these very, very punishing workouts, and my body didn't lose even a pound. I stayed inflamed. I had a lot of joint pain, a lot of back pain. I just never really felt good. But I thought that that's what I had to do in order to release the weight. What I did not realize is that the fact that my body was holding on to this much weight, it had to do with the toxicity within my system, heavy metals, parasites, poor gut health, and a very, very inflammatory diet, as well as trauma and stress. It was only when I started to address those issues at the root that my body started to release weight. And so some of the things that I did was I actually went on a 6-month protocol that addressed diet, gut health, and parasites, as well as chemicals and heavy metals. By the end of that 6 months, I was completely off thyroid meds. I had started to release the weight. My brain fog and depression were gone. And my gut, like I used to have, full confession, I used to have the worst gas. And by the end of this 6-month protocol, that all those gut issues went away. In fact, I never have issues with gas or bloating or anything like that uncomfortable at all. And it's because in this journey, I've actually learned to properly nourish myself. When it came to exercise, instead of doing HIIT, I shifted over to doing walking, doing mobility, doing yoga, things that are low impact. I'm still moving my body every single day, but I'm moving my body in a way that feels good. And guess what? The weight has come off. In fact, most people that run into me that haven't seen me for years see me and they're like, oh my goodness, you look amazing. Not only do I look amazing, I feel amazing. And on this journey, I have been very, very vocal about the fact that I addressed parasites multiple times in multiple ways because it is absolutely necessary. Anytime you're dealing with a chronic health condition, especially when you're dealing with an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's, parasites are also a factor. And so I made a point of making sure that I use protocols to address parasites. And along the way, I've done a lot of forgiveness work, especially self-forgiveness work, forgiveness of others. I use meditation, I use prayer, I do journaling. I do a lot of things to help my body to relieve stress and allow me to actually tap into my own inner wisdom and inner knowing. And the most fundamental shift that I made on my health journey was right from the very beginning. I believed that my body could heal itself. I believed my body could heal itself. So even those times, because I spent many years doing things that didn't work, and I'll share on another video what some of those things were so that hopefully you can avoid those pitfalls. But I tried doing all these things that didn't work. And it was when I came up it was when I came upon the regenerative health protocol that addressed diet and really bringing micronutrient dense superfoods into the body, addressing gut health, addressing chemical and heavy metal toxicity and parasites. That was the biggest positive shift in my health that I saw. That was like the first thing that really started to take me in the right direction. And then with that, I started to change how I moved my body. I started to change my thinking and the way that I spoke to myself and the way I spoke to my body. And then along with that, I've also changed my whole worldview changed as a result of this 6-month protocol. So if you look in the captions, it's linked up. Nowadays, I'm in like basically the biohacking phase of my body. Nowadays, I'm in the biohacking phase of my life. So I have certain tools that I use that actually optimize my health even more. I'm at this point where I'm like really, really, really curious to see like, okay, if I make a tweak here, an adjustment here, how much better can I feel because I feel so good? And I would love for you to actually experience that as well. So in the captions below, you're going to see information on the protocol that I did. And since then, I've of course brought in other tools as well. I talk about all of that stuff in my membership Elevate. So you can check out that membership below as well. Uh, all I can say in terms of being on this health journey, as I continue to work on myself and evolve, one of the things that I've come to realize is that it really is a commitment to making lasting lifestyle changes. When I started the transformation protocol that I was on over 5 years ago, I didn't think that I could give up certain things. I didn't think I could make certain changes, but I was curious enough to give myself the opportunity to try. I was like, okay, what if I just do this for a little while? I wonder what will change for me. How will I feel? And by the time I was done and I was off the medication, there were certain things that I just didn't want to go back to anymore. I didn't want to go back to eating fast foods or processed foods or any junky type foods, because to me, self-love is really about taking the best care of your body possible, loving yourself enough to give your body the best tools, the best supports, anything that you can allow your body to actually take care of itself. Because ultimately, our body is a self-healing machine, but it can't heal itself if we're giving it toxic food, toxic water, putting tons of chemicals on our skin and ingesting tons of chemicals through the food, the air, the water. It's literally mission impossible for our body. The other thing I will touch on briefly is that stress plays a huge role in all chronic illness. And if you've gone through stress and trauma, it plays a really, really pivotal role in your health. And if you're struggling with a chronic health issue or multiple chronic health issues, that's an aspect that you definitely have to look at. So on this journey, I've done journaling, I've done self-forgiveness work. I continue to do self-forgiveness work on a daily basis. I continue to journal on a daily basis. I do mindfulness practices. I do breath work. I do meditation. I believe that those things are as important as the water I'm drinking and what I'm putting into my mouth in terms of food. And so these are things that you also want to be aware of. As I said before, there are all kinds of cool things linked up in the caption below, so make sure that you check them out. And if you see this video and you think that it may help someone else who is struggling with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, please share this video with them so that they can get on their journey to better optimal health. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Bye for now.